Welcome to another Triple T podcast. For those just joining us, that's tools, tips, and talk, where we discuss info for the knife maker. In this episode, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about all different kinds of...
In a world where the number one and number two podcasts collide in an extravaganza of crossover madness, this week on the Triple T, we have the one and only Noah Bloomberg from Entiat River Forge and the Hustle and Grind podcast.
That was dramatic.
That was so
I don't feel like I deserve that kind of an intro, but thank you.
And there's also another guy on the podcast with him named Ryan. So that's less dramatic. Was that what you're looking for?
A little bit better.
Okay, good deal.
Well,
what's up, man?
Guys.
How are you?
Hey, another crossover episode. This is the end of the crossovers. So if you guys are listening to this, it's Tuesday. It's fresh. It's new. The day is just opening up for you, and you have the Triple T podcast to listen to. And then, like we said last week, Denis is over on Hustle and Grind. So the Hustle and Grind podcast has Denis and Ryan as usual, and they are going to be doing a really cool interview. And once again, I'm not going to tell you who it is that they're interviewing. It's going to be a fun surprise that you're just going to have to go listen and find out. Jerid, what was your experience like when you were on Hustle and Grind last week and you got to interview somebody? Like, what was it like? Was it new? Was it fun? Was it special? What was your favorite thing about it?
I think you nailed all of it. Let's go. Yeah, that was it. I think you nailed every single one. It was a really cool experience. I have the only interview style show that we did was with Koi. Yeah. And most, I think, see here, you want to start the damn show off and you're going to make me compliment Denis. This is not the fucking way.
We can't do that. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, there we go. Tobacco break, restart. Let me hit this again right now. Hold on. This is an emergency broadcast. No, fuck off. Denis Tyrell.
Okay, well, without mentioning Denis Tyrell and his interviewing skills that, he probably doesn't have, even though you were about to say that he did have them. What were you about to say?
That's a great transition. Yeah, it was pretty cool because he carried the heavy lifting on that, but rightfully so. It was really based on what those two guys are good at, right? So it was good.
I was gonna say, let's not give him any undue credit. Like, most of that interview was him trying to sneak tips and tricks out of Koi the entire episode because he wants to make his own copper Damascus, and that's really where his interest wasn't. It wasn't innocent. It wasn't like he was just like, hey, I'm going to, interview Koi to make, for great content for, to help out our listeners. It was all selfish. It was just him just trying to weasel information out of Koi the whole episode. That's all it was.
It's like he has a YouTube channel or something he's trying to get content for. Sorry. Yeah. But he did a great job. And this one, I was really excited to get to talk to Seth, because Seth, like I said on the Hustle and Grind last week, Seth is our neighbor at Blade Show, and he's just a banger of a maker. Cool dude. Yeah, he's, we've texted every now and again, and been in my corner helping me all the time, but just a super, super awesome dude. And I was interested in having the opportunity to interview him. And being that we don't do an interview show, I wanted to, and I'm going to do this right now, is I wanted to compliment Ryan on how, I guess I don't notice it because I think it flows really good between the two of you guys, how you guys are, going back and forth between questions, but how easy he makes it for me, because I was new to the show too. Sure. And for Seth as well. He kind of transitioned through those spots that were, maybe some unnecessarily silence that could have happened, and then randomly talks about, not being asked to not wear deodorant in California. So I thought it was great, dude. And it really, it's not like we don't. I saw a different part of Ryan, and gained a newfound respect for what he does, because I think most people don't understand that doing a podcast, although we are just sitting here two two dudes talking, chatting, having a good conversation. As the numbers creep up, you do find that there is, some strategy and, definitely some learning that needs to be done in order to try to, get a little better. And it was cool to see somebody with that kind of experience to just kind of transition and roll right into the next thing. So good job, Ryan. I appreciate it. You really helped smooth that out for a couple times.
Wow. So now you're going to go ahead and compliment my co-host after you just try to get away from complimenting your co-host. Like this
Fuck
is,
that guy.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
No, you're wrong. I'm just
Yeah.
messing with you. Ryan does a great job, of course. Obviously, he's my co-host. We've interviewed tons and tons of different makers together, and it's just one of those things. It's just like anything else, man. It's reps. You get that repetition
Mm-hmm.
in, and you kind of get it. So yeah.
Yeah. It was cool though. I enjoyed it, man. I thought it was. I hope everybody that listened to it had a good time. As always, if I had to redo, there would have been a couple things that I would have more questions I would have asked. Maybe tried to not. I guess not do anything different, but there was some more things that I think we could have. I'm really kicking myself in the ass for not getting him to talk about the builds that he had for the Art Knife Invitational, because I saw some pictures of those things this
Yeah,
week.
me too.
Oh my god, dude, it was insane.
Oh, unreal. Yeah.
Yeah,
The what was it? The triple keyhole thing that he made.
dude,
What
I
the
can't. Yeah,
hell,
I think
man?
that's well put. Because I mean, you got a keyhole on the horizontal and the vertical access. Like I don't know. It Trinity. That's the name of that build.
Yeah.
That thing was
Beautiful,
insane.
beautiful work, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how
Pretty
he
ins-
did, but
pretty inspiring, honestly. Like you see something like that and you're just like, okay, I got to go make something. Like, and then there's certain types of builds that I see that do that. Sometimes you're looking at something and because we're on Instagram all the time, we see
sure.
our fellow makers work. And sometimes you see something and you're like, wow, that's amazing. I could never do that. Or that's cool. Or whatever it is that you think when you see other people's work. But like something like that, it was just like, it's inspiring to look at something like that. This is achievable. Somebody made this. Like that's something that you can do. Like that's freaking awesome. And I love the fact that maybe it was because it was out of the box in that it was building on something that people have already done. People have done keyholes, people have done oddly shaped keyholes. People have but just like taking it up another level. Like I don't know, just the fact that like there's another level to achieve. Once you can't plateau. Like you can just keep going and you can just keep that innovative spirit alive. I think that's what it was that was inspiring to me.
I 100% I'm with you. That kind of brings me to something that I was gonna kind of chat with you about. So I think there's no better segue than to just go right there as soon as I find it, because I'm super prepared. But it takes the so I was driving to Denis's this morning because we were going to do some forging, and I was chatting with a buddy of mine, Derek Miles, from Miles Knife and Tool, I think is his tag. Yeah. And we were just chatting about, I can't remember what it was, but I had this concept where I started thinking about like my time at Makers Camp, which I kind of want to go over a little bit too. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
um, I had this feeling where when I first started making, I made a lot of my own tools, right? I say
Sure.
but my buddy Jeff and I made a lot of our own. We made a grinder, we made all attachments, we did all this stuff. But during that process, because I was so inexperienced and I had no I had nothing to kind of base, like he's like, "Well, what do you want it to do?" I'm like, "I don't know. I know this looks like it's supposed to do this, right?" But I had no experience behind actually using a 2x72. So I didn't know what I liked or what I didn't like, right? So I was just like, I want this thing, right? This one. And we did that build, and it was very, I think Brian House called it the Frankenstein revolution, like, because it was based off of that, but put together by all this different, whatever scrap material we had. Um and then on and on and on with that kind of scenario. Because, but the one thing, and Jeff, I think I've told you this, and if I haven't, here you go, buddy. There's a lot of ideas, because he's a machinist, doesn't come from this world of knife making, entirely into a precision based, production type industry. Although his particular company does art, which is amazing, right? But he would say, hey, how about this? How about that? Let's try to do it this way, or I see it this way. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I want to do it just like this, because this is what the example of, you know, the roadmap to what I'm seeing as an example. And then, a couple years later now, down the road, I start thinking to myself, and I'm like, God, Jeff had some really good ideas. Because, and the point I'm trying to make is that, just like what you were talking about with Seth, like, you get to a point where, okay, you're going to do a keyhole, but there's apparently more than one ways to do keyholes, right? You can keyhole on the entire axis of the handle, right?
Sure.
And then
Apparently.
his keyholes had keyholes on that, right? So, but, just like thinking along those lines of daring to think outside of the box, and not kind of go with the grain of what's acceptable or what's, already out there. And I think it takes some experience. It takes some, ultimately just like experience, in order to be able to express yourself and think outside of the box and do things like, make like the 3-inch wide platen from the Tsunami from Brian,
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure.
It's such a simple concept, right? But it's so outside of the box. Or the the Apollo, the ribbon burners versus the Venturi, and you got purists that think one way, and the guys that are trying to innovate and do things another way. And I think I love that process, and I'm finally recognizing that. I think it's, like I said, it's taken some time and in the process of making, in order to be comfortable with saying that it doesn't have to be done this way. And that's what I was picking up, as I'm looking at Seth's and all these people that innovate. And I think that's what's inspiring, is people that, utilize the things that are readily available, but they innovate and compound on that, and then create new, which will then become a standard at some point, and,
Yes.
on and on and on. So, the long story, or the short answer to all that, is that during that process of making all those tools, Jeff had some really cool ideas, and I just poo-pooed them, because I was like, no, it has to be like this. He's like, yeah. Why? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Just do it. And I regret that.
Well, that's really interesting you say that, because it kind of goes a little bit along the lines with something I've been thinking about this week, and I say a little bit because it really is only a little bit, but I definitely see where you're coming from there. But I think the issue that you're talking about here is preconceived notions, because you had these preconceived notions about the way that you thought it was supposed to be, and therefore rejected ideas just out of hand. Um, but I think you hit the nail right on the head with saying that experience is sort of the answer to that. Once you have a certain amount of experience, you're able to think freer because you see more of the picture. And without seeing more of the picture, you just have this very narrow view. And obviously there's just no replacement for experience. But that sort of thinking can invade your life in different ways than just knife making. I saw this really interesting reel, and I don't know where I'm going with this, so I'm just going to go ahead and try and remember it. But the guy was like, here's an interesting test. Look around the room and find all of the things that are brown, and then close your eyes and then tell me what the things are that are brown.
I just pointed to myself, guys. Sorry.
And so the guy that was in the reel, he's like, okay. So he's like, well, okay. So you got all the things that are brown like in your head. And he's like, yeah, okay. And his eyes are closed. He's like, all right, well, how many red things were there? And he's like, well, I don't know. I was looking for brown things. He's like, well, obviously, yeah. Okay. So you didn't see the things that were red because you were looking for brown things. He's like, okay, now look around the room and tell me what things are red. And he's like, all right. So now you got all the things that are in your head that are red, but now you didn't see any of the blue things. And how many of the things that were red were actually like, pink or like purple, but you just kind of decided to think that they were red because you wanted to succeed in what I told you to do. And so this is one of those things where I'm watching this reel and I'm doing the same thing along with the reel because I kind of want to, I was invested in it. Like I wanted to try this out. I did the exact same thing. There was something pink and I'm like, oh, okay, well that counts because I couldn't see anything else red. I couldn't see
Right.
enough red things. So I just made up something to go along with it. And then I got called out by the guy in the video that I'm watching on my stupid phone, right? For having this confirmation bias. And then not only the confirmation bias, but also just this wanting to succeed, even though it has no value whatsoever. Like there was no value in me saying, oh, that's pink, but I just wanted to succeed because I wanted to do what was in front of me, you know? And so it was really interesting, you know, the way that people look at things like that in life, where you're looking for all the brown things in the room, but you're ignoring all of the other things because you're just so focused on that one thing. And I think that ties in a little bit to what you're talking about, because you're like, well, no, it's supposed to be brown. And you'll call something that's black brown just so that you can feel like you've succeeded in the task.
Yep.
And it happens in like a lot of different things in life where you have these preconceived notions of the way that it's supposed to be, and you try and fit it in the brown box, even though it doesn't fit in that box. There are other boxes out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just thought that was really interesting, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a different perspective, I think, when thinking about things.
Yeah, absolutely. The point to not lose sight of is like we're trying to achieve an end goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, for me, making tools to make tools was a concept that, like, I think really opened my mind and freed me into the ability to understand that although I wanted to make a knife when I first started, I had zero intentions on building a grinder, making a grinder, using an angle grinder, you know, and how vast the amount of tools that were needed in order to achieve this end product, right?
Sure.
Just all of this has been a byproduct of me just one day sitting here, you know, focusing on a folder knife and like thinking, oh, hey, I want to make a knife. And then how you go about learning is the YouTube videos where, you know, like how I interpret those was like their instruction was look at the brown things, right?
Sure.
That's all I was able to do was, you know, like just focus on that. So like the first person that I ever watched do anything was Redbeard Dobbs
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Great YouTube channel.
Great. And his like make a knife from cheap tools was like that was the
That was
thing
awesome.
that set me off. And then through that I ended up meeting, you know, the Makers Challenge came apart, and I ended up, you know, finding Denis's channel, and then all the other are now, you know, a good portion of them are now my friends, you know, which is crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, that you know, but it started with just that singular focus on one thing. But in retrospect, I think the way that we learn today, for me anyways, really put me in a box of, you know, that this was the set process. And although I do believe that we need to find a set process in order to be successful in doing things, and then like the
And in
experience part
order to
comes in.
grow further, yeah.
Yeah. I think part of the trepidation behind not wanting to go against the mold or from what was standard with when we were building the tools was I needed a functional tool, right? So I didn't want to
Right.
be like, you know, hey, we've kind of gone as far as we can go with this build, and then be like, hey, Brian, this doesn't work, and he's like, well, why didn't you do it this way, or you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I just think there's a lot of things happening right now in our community that are I think we're in the transition into some really cool shit, and people are going in some really cool directions, and I think overall, I think the purists always have problems watching the
Mm.
evolution of things, you know. And I'm trying to be open minded to the fact that the growth and the journey is healthy for the community, and overall, all of our abilities, you know, to widen for us to be more creative and, you know, more secure in expressing ourselves with the ideas that we have.
I think that's a great way to put it, because what you're describing with with, not wanting to go all out with the 2x72 when you're building it. What I'm talking about when you're, the confirmation bias, it's, I think a lot of that's rooted in fear,
Absolutely.
and I don't want to get too philosophical and do my Jordan Peterson impression again, but once you have that experience, that overcomes that fear to fail. And it's important, I think, to the listeners and to ourselves, when we're looking at something that, something like Seth made with that keyhole. We're just going to keep bringing that up, apparently. You know, you look at that and you're like, wow, but you don't see the failure. And there's been lots of failure. I guarantee. I have met Seth once, and I've never really talked to him other than that one time that I met him. I guarantee you he has failed so many times to get to that point where he was
Absolutely.
at with that blade. And so that fear of failure, once you get a little bit of that experience, the fear of failure starts to go away a little bit, and you feel like you can overcome it to try out and, like you're saying, expand beyond it. And I think that's important.
And I think the harsh truth behind all of that is that either you're going to participate or you're going to watch it happen.
Oh man, you're stabbing the listeners right in the ears. But yeah,
I'm
I'm
talking to me, just
oh
all 8 of you that are listening. I just lost one, so back to 7. But yeah, no, that's really what's going to happen. And because I've had a lot of ideas and a lot of things that I think that are cool, and I didn't have the time nor the apparently the motivation to do them, and then to watch some of those things become popular or accepted. It's an interesting ride to go on, and then you have to understand that, like I said, that's why I said that what I'm talking about is you accept the ability, or not the ability, but you accept the inevitability of things are going to change, that you can be a part of that or innovate it, or you just get to watch it, and you get to, now it becomes acceptable because somebody else did it.
That's a great point. And you know what? We've gotten a little bit deep here. So I want to talk a little bit about innovative ways to do things. And one of the people that I know of who is really innovative, and has really innovated like a whole new way of doing business is Mr. Lawrence Lake at Maritime Knife Supply, because that guy has innovated marketing. He has innovated the fact that you can just have so many things on one website and just provide everything that you need for knife making. And he does that at maritimeknifesupply.com or .ca if you are in Canada. And that man has just about everything you could possibly need for knife making. And we love Lawrence. We talked about him on the last episode. He's a smith himself. He makes knives, so he knows what you need. He's going to stock all of it. And you can go to Maritime Knife Supply and make sure that in that "How did you hear about us" box, you put in Triple T Podcast. Or actually, because you're hearing this, that's part of like a collab, you could just say, Jerid and Noah, or you could say the podcast guys, or whatever you want to put in there. Just make sure that they know that we sent you. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. And when we say everything, that means everything. Right now, he is about to have some Razor Star products for the 1x30 and the 2x48 belt
Oh,
grind users. So keep an eye out for that, because I think on both of our podcasts the last month or so, we've all kind of had some experiences with the Razor Star. That is only been available on the 2x72. So the smaller grinders, we're going to get some ability to try those out.
that
And
is some great news.
yeah, I'm super stoked that I still have a 2x72 and or a 2x48 and a 1x30.
Oh, do you really? That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. The 1x30 is still up because I have a shit ton of belts, and apparently that's worth keeping the machine in there. And I equally, I think I gave the 2x72 to my buddy Jeff. But as I'm talking about Lawrence though, and him being a maker, he's just texted me a picture of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 forged integral chef knives, and lets me know that he's got a lot of Jeriding coming up. Because yeah, Lawrence is a good dude, and a good buddy of mine, and I kind of transitioning into Lawrence's Makers Camp is one of those opportunities where we get to hang out, and I really look forward to getting to just chill with everybody. But Lawrence is, I mean, there is as a one person on this continent, I guess, is he couldn't be farther away from me. Like every other person that I know is somewhere in between us, but he's literally like the farthest away that you can be from this coast to that coast.
That's yeah, okay. Yeah, I could see that. I don't honestly, I don't really think of like Canada as like a real country. It's sort of like a little fantasy land up there. So I know
Yeah.
he's far away, but like I don't even know where in the, the tundra frozen area, whatever Hoth. I don't know where up there he is even.
Yeah, and he's as far east in Fantasyland as you can go.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and us being on the west. Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's on the east side up, up somewhere, from, there's like the US and then just like up from there. That's all I
Yeah,
know.
the only people farther than him are those funny talking Newfoundlanders, and you got to cross some water to get over there. So he's it. He's at the those Maritimes are way the hell out there. But which is again a testament to how the hell does he get our packages over to us so damn fast. So again, if you're looking for any of
Yeah.
your knife making needs, go to Maritime Knife Supply, and yeah,
All right, man. Well,
yeah,
hey,
good.
oh, oh, I wasn't sure if you were done there, but I wanted to hear a little bit about Maker Camp from your perspective because I got to hear it from Denis and I got to hear interesting story about you doing some forging with a couple of
Mm-hmm.
buddies alongside of some guys who have been forging for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wanted to maybe hear like your take on it, or maybe there was something else at Maker Camp you wanted to talk about. But first, I want to hear what it was like forging with our buddy Bald Man, and how did that whole project go?
So we got my very first knife I ever forged was at Maker Camp 3 years ago with Denis and Lawrence kind of helped me through that process.
Okay.
I've said this a couple times, and Denis as well. For whatever reason, I think an individual receives direction, instruction differently from. I'm going to do it. Individual. Allow myself to introduce myself. Yeah. My bad. We receive instruction differently from different people, and
Yeah.
Lawrence kind of speaks my language while the steel is hot, and I need to know what the hell I'm going to do, because I think I've explained this to you and the listeners a lot of times. It's like I have a really bad habit of for forging right now is that I will hear the plan, hear the instructions, and then when I pull the steel out, I go blank, and I ended up just staring at a hot piece of steel, watching the heat
Watching it
go
cool
away.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But with Brent being there for the first time, who was one of my better buddies, somehow he had talked to Lawrence, and because he's a production batch stock removal dude,
Yeah.
and that's his lane, and I fully support people that know their lane, and they don't have to necessarily stay in that lane, but that's what he does.
And he
And
kicks ass at it.
he's fucking badass, 100%. I'm fucking got a thicker clipper right here. So the point I'm trying to make is we're walking around, and he comes up to me, and he's like, hey, Lawrence is going to help me forge my first knife. But I think it just, because it was transferring over into the thicker clipper, he was going to forge a thicker clipper.
Right.
It was a little more interesting to him, and he kind of got onto that. So a couple minutes later, I get this text message from Lawrence, and it's based some kind of meme that says shit show supervisor. And he goes, "Hey, this is me later on tonight, helping Brent and Jerid." I was like, "You ass." It was perfect. It was beautiful. So yeah, two guys that really don't. I've done some a lot more than Brent has, but he did fantastic. The At Maker Camp, there is at least probably every time I go there about 5 times where I stop, I look around, and I go, "What the hell is going on?" And I have like a legitimate fanboy moment because I was sitting, and this doesn't happen to me anyways, right? It was 10:30 at night in New York, across the country. I'm putting in some steel to start to forge. I look around. There's Mareko, Josh Prince, like Denis. I mean, the list goes on of all these like people that are there. And then I start to do a couple things on the press, and then I look back, and there's like this crowd. There's probably like fucking 20 people just standing around watching my fat ass fucking try to forge an integral chef for the first time. And I got about halfway through it, and I literally had to stop. I think I took a selfie of like myself, Mareko, like just everybody doing their own thing, and like all the people behind me, because I was like, it was a really surreal moment. And I find myself in that position a lot at Makers Camp, because you're just bumping elbows with everybody. Some of them happen to be just people that you really admire, look up to, and in all kinds of different arenas. I think that's the best part about Makers Camp is, that although we have our knife making crew there, there's the blacksmiths, there's the leather makers, there's the jewelry makers, there's the welding, the CNC, all the woodworkers. I made a pair of chopsticks. That was pretty
Ooh,
cool.
that's cool.
Yeah. Brent's wife, Liz, ended up going with him, and he was excited for her to kind of just get into the arena of making in general, right? But
Sure.
because knives are so specific, right? Like attending a knife show is really one dimensional. My wife went with me on one, and she literally they got about an hour, and that's with 45 minutes of patience, because they know that's it's important to me, right? That their
Yeah.
interest is can be up. But so I got the opportunity to kind of hang out with her, and in the very, very beginning of the show, and we went and made some chopsticks, and I was just kind of coaching her through the process of getting through the fear of trying to make things.
Okay.
Oh man, it was really, really awesome, because we made these chopsticks. We had to wait around for a while, so we had, a lot of talks. We were standing there. This is the part that's cool when you're talking with Liz being there. Anyways, is Jay Nielsen walks up next to us, and Shelly, and I'm, because I had just actually, sidebar here, I actually used the acetone on the Kydex tip that he dropped on when you guys interviewed him.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, do the thing. It works fantastic. I don't know if you actually got a chance to try it, but
Oh yeah. Yeah. It
oh,
works.
way easier, way easier. So I was just kind of singing his praise, and then I walk away, and she's like, anyways, back then I'm like, that was Jay Nils. She's like, I don't know what the fuck that is, But she did that with Jimmy DeResta, and, all kinds of, it was pretty cool. But after we did that on that first day, dude, we couldn't hardly find her, because she caught the bug, man, and she was just out going to do things, and like, bump
Nice.
into her. What do you want to do? Oh, I'm going to make a ring. I'm going to make this. I'm going to make that. That's what it's about. The opportunity to do so many things, and for us to understand that making for us for me is knives, right? But the
Yeah.
community is so much more vast, and you get to experience that on a very intimate level at Makers Camp, and it's really cool. Plus, it's like a family reunion with all the people that have been showing up, and I think
Yeah.
as it grows, I think it'll be cooler. So it was really cool.
That sounds awesome, man. I
Yeah,
can't even imagine like there being that many things to do. And I think your example is perfect. She's not tied down to knives. She's
yeah,
probably sick of knives, like my wife is, like your wife probably is.
yeah,
You know, it's to the point now where it's like I have to make something pretty freaking special, like that I'm like over the top, and hand it to my wife for her to actually even say more than about it, like the last time I got my wife to actually give me a decent reaction was when I made that I'd made an integral with like the fox feather pattern, which is the pattern that I came up with like the multiple feathers that are refeathered.
Yeah.
And it's got this freaking like amazing koa block that I got from High Koa, and I'm just like, what do you think? And she actually gave me a good reaction with that one. But like, you hand her just like a regular Damascus knife, and she's like, oh yeah, nice, good job. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you totally understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like yeah. So my wife would be the exact same at like a knife show. Like she doesn't care. But you bring somebody like that who has that ability to like make things, and you give them all these realms of possibility. Who knows? Any one of those different crafts, those different avenues, different art forms could be something that somebody picks up and like runs with for years, and that could be their introduction to it. So, I mean, I'm just fascinated by the fact that Maker Camp exists. I mean, I would absolutely, definitely love to come to it one day. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to do that, but that would
Yeah.
be super cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, like, I think this came up on the other show, but like comparing it to Blade it's not comparable. Like you have this
Right.
sensory
Yeah.
overload of just like a high anxiety, pressure, fun. Like it's just intense on at in Atlanta, but at Maker's Camp is just it's the complete opposite vibe. I mean, and where else can you just like walk into a tent and start forging at 10 o'clock at night?
Not at my house.
They shut us down at midnight.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm
Yeah,
sure some
and
people wanted to sleep.
yeah, I guess you have to kind of see the around the place. I mean, there's no way you can't be using a power hammer and that's not echoing through a forest for
Oh yeah,
forever. Yeah,
for
so
sure.
yeah, I guess I didn't even think about them, but yeah, it was really cool, man. And then I got to see a bunch of people. I got to meet Mr. Meme himself, Bobby from Reaper Manufacturing. That was really cool.
Nice.
Like when you get to make a connection like in person with some of your Instagram friends that you have talked to for years now,
Yeah.
and then you finally get to meet them. It was really, really cool. It's an absolute bummer what happened to all those memes because they're all gone now.
That's
I was,
just tragic, man.
yeah, I was trying to show somebody one of them, but yeah, they took the account down and all the content's gone. But yeah,
That
it
sucks.
was super cool to meet him. Hung out with Cody from C2 Ford, good maker. He actually did his JS performance test live right
At
there in
Maker
front of
Camp?
everybody. Yeah, just at like 10 o'clock random. That's what he did right before we all started forging.
Huh. That's so cool.
Tied a piece of rope up on the side of on the main area and sliced through that, and then he had to do the bend test and the chop. So we went over to the broadback tent and he did that. Probably 30 plus people, I would imagine, just sitting there. I mean, that's got to be stressful as hell.
No pressure.
Holy shit! I'm like, yeah, you're a beast, dude.
It's
So
like
yeah,
it's like being on Forge and Fire basically, but with more consequence
yeah,
because
and
it's your JS.
yeah, it happens that he did that before he did his JS, so he had experience in the Force
Oh,
and
really?
Fire realm. Yeah,
Nice. All right. So
yeah,
then that was probably fine for him.
yeah. It was a
Oh,
trip.
yeah. Well, cool, man.
Mm.
Well, hey, I just wanted to kind of pick your brain on something, and maybe I don't
Time out.
recant. Oh, timeout.
Time out. Sorry.
What do we got?
Before we move on,
Okay.
Mareko, Josh, Cliff Dufton, Ryan from Gnome Hammer, they all do demos
Okay.
and at Maker's Camp too, right?
All right.
So you get to watch Josh Prince forge a knife from a small block into a forged finish hunter.
Right.
Mareko, in-depth Damascus discussions about, conceptually how to, I think Denis was talking about that last week. So you got that. hammer making, like all this stuff, right? So because we're bumping elbows with the big guys there, Mareko pulls out this knife, and it is a Damascus pattern.
Whoa. Is this something you can talk about on the main show?
100%.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure.
I'm not 100% now. Ask him. I want to say he fucking posted it.
Not that I'm aware of. If
Okay.
this is the same thing you're talking about that I think you're about to talk about, I don't know.
It's on there.
Oh, it's on there. Okay. I
No,
missed it then.
no. It's up here. So, well, just in the sake of not fucking anything up, then I'm gonna. I think that's a good stopping.
Sorry, man. I wasn't trying to throw you off.
No, I think. I'd rather not. No, it has not been posted. Okay. All right.
Sorry, listeners.
That's cool. I love the dead air. You guys just relish in the fact that I'm struggling right now.
You're good, man. You're good. No, I just I think I heard about what you were going to talk about, and it sounded incredible. But I just didn't know if it was public knowledge
I don't know
or
yet.
what.
Yeah,
So let's just go ahead and save it. It's definitely something you can talk about on a future episode.
absolutely.
Excuse me. I just yeah. Anyways,
It really just speaks to somebody that's pushing the boundaries
for sure, dude.
of
Absolutely.
just not staying in the lane and thinking outside the box and doing some shit that is mind blowing. I got to hold that knife and look at it, and it just. So sorry, fuckers, you don't get to know what I'm talking about.
Well, they'll see it. I'm sure it'll get posted at some point, and
Yeah, it will.
and they can all share in the mind blowing emoji.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Well, sweet, man. All right, y'all good with you got everything off Maker Camp?
Maker's Camp is good. Let's roll.
All right, dude. Well, last week, Dennis and I went on like a little bit of a tirade. I don't want to call it a tirade. Dennis had a hot take, and we discussed different aspects of that. And I was thinking about it throughout the week, and I was kind of rethinking kind of my position on certain things about whether or not I was thinking accurately about things. And I don't want to be that guy who throws out advice that then people take to heart, and it maybe wasn't the best advice. Now, I wanted to make clear that I'm not recanting anything and I don't apologize for anything. But I would like to maybe clarify a little bit, and I wanted to get your take on it.
Sure.
So last week, I said a point that I've made before, which is that you're never going to be good enough, and there's always you can always be better, and you should always be striving for better. But I think that if left by itself isn't necessarily a recipe for happiness, because you can't just always be unhappy with where you're at. I think that there's it has to be tempered with a little bit of satisfaction and, how do I put this? You can't just always be unhappy with where you're at and just always be pushing, because then you're never satisfied with the result. And so the example that I wanted to put out there was something along the lines of, I'll be working on like a custom project, and which is, I do a lot of custom orders. So I'll be working on it, and and you see those baby steps while you're working on it. It goes from this, and then it goes, it starts off at 36 grit, and then it gets ground better, and then you do a test etch, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I think the pattern looks good, and then you get it hand sanded, and then you do that etch, and eventually, you've seen this thing in every form that it could possibly be in, and then you finally get to the finished result, and hopefully happy with the finished result, but you've seen it so many times in so many different forms that you're almost sick of looking at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's kind of like an extreme way to put it, but at the end of a project like that, I typically get to that point where I'm like, I'm sick of looking at this thing, like it, because I spend so much time on it. But I rob myself of the satisfaction of the completed product, if that makes sense, by being unhappy with the process and seeing it so many times. Does that make sense? Am I making sense, Jerid?
Yes, you are.
All right, cool. So when I'm telling these, I just got to be careful about what I say, because we've got like 6, 7, maybe even whole people listening to this, and
6 now.
thanks, appreciate that.
You're welcome.
But I definitely want to encourage people to strive for better, because that's what I do, and I wholeheartedly believe that we should always be striving for better. But I think that there's a certain amount of you have to temper that with not letting the perfect get in the way of the good. And I think enjoying the good and recognizing where you're at and being happy in that place is essential to even being able to move forward and continue to grow and continue to get better at all the different things. And I'm talking about knife making, I'm talking about life, I'm talking about everything here. You have to temper that thirst for more with the satisfaction that the accomplishment of getting more brings. Does that make sense?
I'm tracking 100% right now. I was kind of bummed, but I think you guys did a really good job on going over that topic about complacency and not settling.
Yeah.
I think it's you guys did very well, and the hot take, the however you're talking about a sensitive subject where like Dennis said, like if you think this applies to you, then it does, right? And there's good and there's bad in that. On the outside, and this topic had kind of been lingering. We were gonna get to it and not, but I'm happy that it came out and that you got to give your perspective on it. And your follow up is very similar to how I feel about it, because the one thing that I thought was important, I think is important, is that complacency and progress is relative to the person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that is not my place. That is not your place. That is not Dennis's place for anybody to tell somebody else how much is enough or not enough, right? It's a very
Sure.
individual thing. So, um, for me, when I first started making, I was absolutely 100% searching for perfection. I would
Yes.
hand knives to people that were really detail orientated, not knife makers. And they would point this, and this, and that. And then I would give it to, Dennis or somebody who's, obviously got a pretty high level of standard there. And what I learned very quickly was that my does my intent behind the designs far exceeded my ability, my ambition, and exceeded my abilities.
Okay.
So it's trying to stay in that lane of like, you got to get through some of these builds. Otherwise, you're never going to get anything completed.
You're just gonna end up sitting in your shop Jeriding blades.
You're going to be Jeriding blades. I mean, it's funny, but it's, it was a real thing, as, like, I could do better here, I could do better there. And then you end up with a pile of Jereds and, blah, blah, blah. But I really think it's important to just like to understand that you're right in saying that we need to get good at something before you move on.
Sure.
And that get good takes different times for different people.
Yeah.
And it could come off as complacent or, maybe stagnant or repetitive or, for whatever reason. But it's a very introspective and individual thing,
Yeah.
So for me, I think the day that I decided that I'm okay with small mistakes, right? I'm just going to note those mistakes on this build and I'm going to try to address it on the next one.
Yeah.
I think one person that Brent really helped me kind of get through a lot of those things. Like, again, it's exactly what I was talking about. Like, I felt like all blades needed to be hand sanded.
Yeah.
That's just what I saw.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
You were just looking at all the brown things in the room.
All the brown things. All the Jereds. So yeah,
All
dude.
right, man.
I'm with you, dude. I think you're onto it.
Well, cool.
What have you been doing this week?
I think that we should try and lighten things up. We've gotten like a little bit too deep. I was scared of that. I thought maybe you and I would go a little bit too deep. We've got like, man, we're all philosophical, and I'm doing my Jordan Peterson impression again because the paradox of life, and in some real sense, we've just gotten so deep into our own heads that we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and it's gotten so much, and it's chaotic, and you need to temper that chaos with order. And so I have been doing nothing this week other than my kids' soccer. And I think last week on the show, I mentioned that there was, that the stereotype of like the sports dad,
Yep.
yelling at kids, yelling at refs. It got worse. So like, this has nothing to do with knife making, and I'm just telling this for fun. But so like, I'm at my kids' soccer game this week, right? And we're talking 8-year-olds on the field here. Okay. We're talking about kids so young that like, if they miss a goal, they might burst into tears because like they're kids. All right. I just want to emphasize the fact that these are small children playing a game that is, yes, it's supposed to teach them discipline and sportsmanship and camaraderie and everything. But at the end of the day, they're supposed to just have fun and be kids. Right. All right. So they play this team, and the refs for this team are like high school kid, like volunteers, like they're volunteering to ref this kids game, like for credit or something. I don't know. Right. The parents on the opposing team were yelling like, and I don't want to be dishonest here because like I yell a lot when I'm at like any sort of sports match. My kid's out there, he cannot stay focused. Like his brain is all over the place. Like he's over there on the soccer field, like thinking about something else. Like he's thinking about like, what happened. And I'll be yelling at him, Ben, focus, the ball's coming your way, cause he's, goalie at that point. And so I'm yelling advice to my kid because like he's not focusing, whatever it is. The coach is on the other end of the field. I'm trying to coach my kid from the sidelines because he's a kid. The parents on the other team were getting so mad at the refs that they were just like yelling at the refs. They're yelling at this, yelling at that. One dude told me to sit down because I was telling my kid to do something on the field. And I didn't respond. Okay.
Oh, well, good for you.
And I want everybody to know that no, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to get into it. But the point is that like I could very easily have turned that into a fist fight at a kid's game, right? Like we're talking about like, this is ridiculous. Like what sort of clown world are we living in here where like the parents are like yelling at each other on the sidelines? And it even got so far. So game ends. After the game, one of the parents from the opposing team went up to one of the kids on my kid's team and insulted the kid to his face. An adult, someone who in theory, pays taxes, drives a car, has a job, was so upset about what happened during this game that he had to go up and insult an 8-year-old before he felt good enough to go home. That was necessary to him. I would just encourage people to not be like that. I think that, good Lord. I mean, I don't know about you, but like, I go to work, I come home, I don't spend a whole lot of time in public, and it's just things like this that make me kind of happy about that I don't spend that much time in public.
Yeah.
But like, holy crap, dude, like and you see videos online and, you hear about the stereotype of like the sports dads or the sports moms, things like that. But like when it gets to the point where you're getting spicy enough to like almost get to the point where you're going to start a fight with other parents on the sidelines, like, damn, dude, like that was an eye opener for me. That was something else.
Yeah. I played sports my whole life, and I'm very familiar with that. It's been
Oh
going
yeah.
on for a long time. And the sad part with the last, I actually didn't. Little regrets here, but like I wasn't in a place in my life when my daughters were young to put them into sports and participate in that capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my kids are 28, 22, and 16, so there's some years between them.
Sure.
So my son, I did have the opportunity, and he played all kinds of stuff, golf, baseball, bowl. I mean, he's done a lot of shit. And
Sure.
the from when he first started t-ball, um, I after that time I decided that against my against my better judgment, because insecurities and whatnot, I coached him.
Okay.
Every single team he was on, um, past, I don't know, since he was, I don't know, about, yeah, 7, 8. I Every time they asked for volunteer, coaches, I didn't want to manage a team. I didn't have that capacity, but I would, I'm looking right here. I got a baseball bat with, from 2019 where, thanks coach Jerid with all the guys, they
Nice.
lasered all the names on there. But it's because, um, I had to be able to communicate with my son. I
Yeah.
had to be able to have the ability to talk to him, to coach him through his own insecurities, and and to make sure that I was present when and if anybody ever decided to speak to my son,
Mm-hmm.
because there's some things that are not okay. I mean, and I'll raise my hand and say I've been ejected. I got thrown out one time because my son, he got hit. He was
Okay.
he was at bat, and he got hit, and they the ball hit his hand on the bat,
Okay.
and I had turned around, and I didn't see it happen. And when I came back, they called him out, and he's crying, and his fingers all busted open, right? And
Oh,
then I'm like,
geez.
how the hell is blah, blah. Anyway, so yeah, I've reacted. You can get emotional there real easy, but
Oh, dude, me too.
yeah. So, but after that, you just turn around and walk away. And I've had some parents and some other coaches that I've had some choice words with,
Oh yeah.
and I've behaved inappropriate too. So I can't call. I get what you're saying though, and every time that I've ever kind of got a little heated, I always like stop and look around out, like, and you see all those parents, kind of looking back at you, and you're just like, yeah, that's not what adults are supposed to do, and this is a kid's sport, and you know what I mean? Like, these kids are out
Yeah.
there just having fun. But to your point, that's why I got involved, so I have immediate access to him, during all of his sports, because I couldn't sit in the I couldn't I just
Yeah.
can't not be a part of it in that
Dude,
way.
it's tough, man. Like that's the thing. Like, and there's probably some listeners that don't have kids. There's probably some listeners who
Sure.
aren't. There's probably some listeners who are like me who aren't really sports fans at all. Okay,
Mhm.
I used to watch football back in the day. I stopped watching football. Like I'm not a sports guy. I listen to Jerid talking about baseball all the time, and then I
Mhm.
send him baseball memes.
One
That.
of the best lines I ever heard, but anyways, go ahead.
So, wait, what? I
Well,
didn't hear what
you
you said.
sent me one of my favorite memes ever. That's
Oh,
all.
okay, awesome. So, like, I'm not really a sports guy at all. Like, I have learned more about soccer than I ever thought that I would ever learn in my life,
Yeah.
But, like, you get out there and you're watching your kid play, and all of a sudden, like, you're a sports fan. And you're not really a sports fan, you're a fan of your kid. And now you're a sports fan just because of that. And it is tough not to get, like, really, really, really involved in it. And, so you end up like me, yelling, coaching things to your kid while he's on the field. And I'm not a quiet person. I know, maybe I come across as quiet on the podcast. I don't know, but you put me on the sideline at my kid's soccer game. I'm loud, and then I get told to sit down. So I'm just grateful that God gave me the ability to ignore that one, because that was
Yeah.
100% God and 0% me, because I
Yeah.
wanted to turn around and tell that short little dude to take a ring up a mountain, because that was my first thought, but I didn't do that.
Good for you.
And anyways, all right. Well, hey, so one thing that we're going to get off with the sports talk. One thing that we do on Hustle and Grind is we like to play some silly little games. And Denis got really, really lucky, I would like to say, last week. And he did pretty good on the segment of fake news.
Okay.
And I'm curious to see how you might do on a game of fake news. Would you like to play?
I would love to play.
All right. So this is a game that we play over on Hustle and Grind. I got 3 headlines in front of me. You guys probably know what this is already, but we got 3 headlines. 2 of them 100% real, and I mean that with all the sorrow in my heart, because it just bodes terribly for the past, present, and future of all mankind. But thankfully, one of them is fake, and it is Jerid's job. And you listeners at home, you get to listen and you get to make your guess and see how good you guys are at picking out fake news. We begin. Man sues town for over $647 million because of a trashed Bitcoin hard drive. Next up, someone is putting cowboy hats on pigeons in Las Vegas, and no one knows why. And lastly, an Albuquerque woman is suing Samsung for $1.8 million after she needed medical attention after inserting her cell phone in, I'm just going to go ahead and say, a bodily orifice. I changed the headline a little bit on the last one because I don't know how your guys' listeners would react to some of this. I try and keep it a little clean. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. I think you accurately described the location.
Yeah, I think everybody knows what we're talking about.
Sure.
So there you go. There's your 3, man.
So I got Albuquerque, I got Las Vegas, and where's the dude suing the town?
Hang on. Somewhere in the UK.
Oh.
So Denis told me that I needed to try and come up with some Jerid specific stories, but I figured that might make it. That's how he ended up winning last week, was because he's like, oh, you got California, you got Canada. These are just random. These are just ones that I get in my inbox. So none of these are aimed at you. This is you just got to use your skills, man. That's all you got.
Use my skills.
So if you want me to, I can go over these again. Man sues the town for $647 million over a trashed Bitcoin hard drive.
Okay.
Someone's putting cowboy hats on pigeons in Las Vegas, and no one knows why. And the woman with suing Samsung because of a Samsung phone stuck in a bodily orifice.
My guess, based on 0 except my gut, is that number 1 is fake. I think
suing the town.
the Bitcoin hard drive. I just want to believe that someone's putting hats on pigeons in Vegas. I think that's awesome.
And you want to believe the Samsung thing? Why do you want to believe that? That sounds
I was
terrible.
thinking more of I didn't say that. I just said that I want to believe. I don't really want to know if the Find My iPhone feature would work in that situation, but and I guess I just don't give a about the Bitcoin, and I just think that someone would do the old
cell phone up the,
yeah. Anyways,
all right,
I'm going with number 1. Number 1 is fake.
Number 1 is fake. Final answer: man sues town for $647 million over a trashed Bitcoin hard drive.
Yep.
100% real, man. Somebody is actually suing them because it's in a landfill somewhere, and he wants to dig it up and try and find it, and they won't let him. So he's suing them for the hard drive. Actually happened. And you'll be very happy to hear that someone is definitely putting cowboy hats on pigeons and actually super gluing them on. And there was a little bit of like a, from a health of the pigeon standpoint concern.
Yeah.
Are these pigeons being harmed by these cowboy hats? And the answer basically is no, because eventually they're going to shed the feathers on the top of their head. The hats will fall off. Yes, that's maybe technically littering, but it's damn funny to just be walking around and seeing pigeons bobbing their heads around in cowboy hats. I love that. Well done, sir. That's freaking hilarious. I was so thrilled to see that an Albuquerque woman is not suing Samsung for a phone being stuck in a bodily orifice. That did not happen. And I'm so grateful.
I'm a little bummed. I'm just saying. Heyo.
Dennis, we got him. There you go.
Well, I just wanted to operate in the same capacity as your co-host Ryan and continue my losing streak.
There you go. On the long, games glorious from the tradition.
Yeah. I got my butt whooped last time, and I got my butt whooped here, so that's good. Let's see. Dennis boy did a Triple T video last week on reviewing his X tool and all of the fantastic attachments that come on there. I 100% did not watch this video. I don't watch any of his.
I just skipped ahead. I just skipped through it. Like I was telling Dennis on the last episode. Yeah, just skipped ahead, skipped through it.
Yeah, he must have not been talking because yeah. No.
I didn't razz Denis enough last time I was on here. Normally, you're here to just flip him unending buckets of shit, and I just didn't do a good enough job. So I got to do it now while he's not here. I
can easily give you a lot of assists there. So I didn't catch this one. I am joking. I do watch them from time to time, but I am majorly interested in. And apparently you should too.
Yes.
About the upcoming one for the Tobin grinding jig. I have seen this thing in action a few times. I didn't get to use it. I don't think, I did. We did a different process when we were up, our buddy Rick Hall up in Reno.
Yeah.
Has one.
Sweet.
And he was showing it. That's where I think Dennis kind of got the bug for it. And then you ever get a text message from somebody and you can read the excitement? Like
yes.
it actually has emotion on there.
Yeah,
he was bitching and complaining about the grinding the bevels on the Apocalypse challenge sword, I could see he was whining. And then when he switched over to that jig, I could literally tell him like he was stoked and how awesome that thing worked out for him. So check out the tools, tips, and talk and info for the knife makers next week on the Tobin grinding jig. And
it's only 2 days away for the listeners. It's only 2 days away. But we probably should mention when Dennis talked about it last, he wasn't entirely 100% sure that was going to be coming out this Thursday because like he was talking about, he wanted to make sure they were available and he could point people where to find them when that video came out. I haven't talked to him, so I don't know. Actually, maybe you have about whether that is actually the video that's coming out this Thursday for sure.
That's what was told, but he lies. So who knows?
Awesome. Well, that's going to be an exciting one. I can't wait to watch it. Yeah. I'm super thrilled about that.
Yeah. And you know what I just got done doing?
What's that?
This morning, I actually got some knife things done this weekend.
Sick.
Yeah, it was very, very, very cool. I really felt like a knife maker. But this morning, I did a lot. It was Sunday morning when you guys hear this, but on Saturday, I had. I'm just going to transition into my weekend real quick, and then we'll bust through here because I got quite a bit of shit to get through, and we're rolling pretty good. So, on Saturday morning, Noah's aware of this because he's my personal mechanic, and I was having some car issues, so in the way of batteries, and where I had the fortune to have two cars shit the bed on me at the same time, and so got a couple of pointers. And I mean, batteries are not the most complex things in the world, and I was fairly aware of what to do, but I did take some suggestions and get the trickle charger. However, because I'm an idiot, I got a 1 amp trickle charger, and my buddy kindly let me know that I will probably be trickle charging for a day plus with that
Yeah.
little of an amp, so a little more amperage on that, folks. You live and you learn. It was like $20. I think I went the cheap route, maybe even under that. And
You
a
got a
multimeter,
battery
but
maintainer is what you got.
yeah, basically. Yeah. So yeah, he laughed at me pretty good. And anyways, went through that cars, and it turns out one was bad. Batteries are expensive.
Yes.
Batteries are expensive. And the grand total was almost $300 for a battery, and that was just because one of them was bad. Which I took the opportunity to tell my son, who's about to start driving, that this is why when you have a car, that you need to make sure that you have some funds to put into your car for the things that it needs, not rims.
It always
That's
sucks when you have to spend the money that you have to spend on the car to keep it running. That way you can't afford to put the things on it that make it more fun to drive. I hate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it's the worst.
Yeah, I said the first time you ever come to me and say that you need a battery, but there's rims on the car, yeah, you're in trouble, kid. So, anyways, yeah, that was that. So I spent the first half of the day doing that, and then I got in there, and I've had about 3 or 4 things that are just at the finish line. And it's been a rough month or so. So I was happy to get back in, and I was talking about somebody sent me a knife back that I made for a friend of mine about a year ago, and that was affectionately named the cake cutter. But
yes.
Yep. So the cake cutter came back because it was finished prior to me having the ability to etch it, the cake cutter. So I sent it back, gave it a little spa treatment. That was really cool. I've had 2 knives came back to me that have been out for a while. One of them I was like, good God, that should have never left here. And then, and the cake cutter, actually, I was pretty happy. It's held up. It's great. The edge it wasn't sharp, but it was still able to do its thing. So etched that up, redid the handles, did a little sanding, sharpened it back up, and she'll be going out this week. So Andy, your cake cutter is on the way, sir.
Nice.
Then I finished up another one, the cow cutter.
That's right.
Yep. So we have the wave cutter, the cow cutter, the cake cutter, the taco cutter, and the panini cutter. And I'm just going to keep this theme going.
Why not?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I love it.
You just got to convince the people to do it. Right? The panini cutter is a buddy of mine who is is law enforcement, and then the name I wanted to put on there, he was like, "Yeah, no, I don't think that's good." I was like, "Okay." So, anyways, if you can be creative, I'll be creative with you guys. But that came out done, so I still got I have to sharpen that, etch it, but really good progress on that. I finished and done, about to ship out the A's Intrepid 2.0, the little smaller version of my EDC knife. Really happy about how that thing came out, how it feels in the hand, how it works. During that part of the build, I acquired a Wicked Edge sharpening system.
Ooh.
And because I generally, pretty regularly, I've been sharpening with the perfect sharpening blade attachment dude from Denis.
Oh yeah, that one guy came up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Really speeds it up. And for whatever reason, though, I wanted this knife to to be done on the Wicked Edge. Plus, I wanted to use the thing that I had.
Sure.
And I successfully almost cut my finger off.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So I the Wicked Edge is holds your knife in a clamp, and it's got 2 rods that are set at an angle that you set to sharpen, and you make these passes on them. I'm sure most of you have seen it. However, I did not pay attention to how high or low I was holding the stones, and you can see me right now, but I was holding at the bottom end of the stone, so with these 2 fingers. So I had the one with the Band-Aid on it, kind of hanging over, and I just swiped down. This is on the first grit too, on the 220. I was just setting the burr, setting the edge, and it just and
so you're saying that it works really well.
Quickly too. Thank God it was on 220 and not 1500 or 2000, whatever the hell it goes up to. Yeah. But yeah, she will cut. So they say.
So what do you think of the Wicked Edge? Other than the obvious, what happened there? You like it?
I like it. Yeah. I like it. It's so prior to that, I used the Lansky system. Cool, takes forever. That's the hardest part for me.
Sure.
Not actually sharpening knives is probably the least enjoyable part of making for me. Maintaining an edge on a knife is different to me than setting the initial secondary bevel and going through that whole process. I just not the biggest fan of that.
Sure.
So when I switched over to the perfect, what the hell is it? The perfect sharpening attachment, perfect blade sharpening attachment.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool. That thing speeds all that up, and and it really works. Gets everything super sharp. I think the precision of the Wicked Edge, the the precision of the angles that you can set, and how you could take that thing up. It's got like a very wide progression of stones and grits that you can take that thing through. So it was cool. It was simple.
Nice.
I'll use it again for sure.
Okay.
On certain things. I think on an EDC, not that this was going to a customer, but there are some EDC nerds out there that really want to know that your knife is at 22.3, degrees on the angle or whatever their spec that they're requiring, and you just can't quite get that accurate on the grinder with that jig. You can get pretty close, but
no, you can get it pretty close. You just stick your little square angle thing on there, and you can get it real close.
Yeah,
but I definitely see what you're saying.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked it. It was cool.
Nice.
Prior to, besides almost cutting my finger off.
Besides that, that's fine.
Yeah. And then in good fashion, I was able to Jerid up a couple of. I don't know how you're approaching this upcoming month though, but I'm grateful to have some interest in my work, and the unfortunate part is that I have no inventory in which to get that work out. So really going to try to make a manageable push to get some of my standard chef knife and some Intrepids and a couple things out for the holidays.
Nice.
In the midst of having a few other builds in various stages. So I Jerided a couple things and truly enjoyed that. It is literally the funnest thing to do for me. I absolutely adore it. So and then this morning I was talking to Denis, or Sunday morning I went over there and I got the opportunity again to bust out my 2 Basterds fat peen and straighten out a big ass chopper, which I didn't bring in here to show you, but I will send you something, and I'll do some posts on it for all you beautiful listeners. But if you're interested in getting a new hammer, I highly suggest you go check out Frank and Nita over at 2 Basterds Hammer and get your hands on a fat peen, cross peen, diagonal, straight, whatever you want. Because I also have to say that while I was driving listening to this ad read last week, I was went through such a wide range of emotion. And my friend, you came through, and I literally clapped, and I just said, "Ain't it grand to have a fat peen in your hand?" It was so beautiful, dude. Thank you so much. The thought of that not being said just ruined me. So, and Frank was grateful about that too, as well. And I did, though, in at Maker's Camp, we had the triangle peen, fat peen. I did the triple peen is what I called it. I did this picture of the fat peen tips all done in a triangle there. It was pretty cool. So
nice.
Yeah, go get yourself, go check out Frank and Nito over at Two Basterds Hammer and get yourself a fat peen. So I got to do a little work on that, and yeah, so
Good
we're
stuff,
rolling
man.
here. Yeah, we were getting really, 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 really productive. And on top of that, I'm going to have the opportunity to go on when this comes out on Tuesday. That evening, I'll be heading over to my buddy Sean, the knife guy, who was originally about an hour-ish from me, and he moved to about 20-ish minutes from me.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, and I love what he does, and he does a lot of forging chef knives and makes a lot of Damascus. And he's actually the guy that I made my first Damascus billet with outside of with Denis. And
Very
this
cool.
was, yeah, that was the low layer one I did. At any rate, so we're gonna go hang out and have a little forging session on Tuesday. So I'm stoked about that.
Super
And
cool, man.
yeah, and while I was out finishing up my cow cutter, I was at the handle stage. So I did a little different process, and before I used did the actual finishing on my handle, I lathered and lubed that thing up with some soft wax from Pelican paste. I let all of that goodness soak in overnight, and I might actually give it one more little lathering up and let all those juices soak in there before I actually go finish and buff it out to just give that little extra luster and sheen. So,
You
you
let
know
it
about
soak
Pelican paste?
overnight? Do I know about Pelican paste?
What do
Come
you
on,
know about
son.
Pelican paste?
I had Travis on my podcast with me and Ryan.
Yeah, I know. No.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love Travis. I love Pelican paste. I've got all the miniature tins that have my logo on them because he does that. He'll laser your logo on the little tins to go with your knives. And I love that. I love being able to send that along with the blades because I mean, you get those sorts of questions from customers. How do I take care of this thing? How do I maintain it? Why is my knife changing colors? And it's like, well, it came with a little tin of wax and some instructions that told you to put that wax on the blade. And if you put that wax on the blade, it's going to stay nice.
That's right.
And not only is it going to stay nice, it's going to smell nice because them Florida oranges are in that zestiness. And I love
Yes.
the way that stuff smells. And it goes on all of my blades, whether they're, here's the stupid thing that goes on all of my blades, whether they're stainless or not, or
Yeah.
whether they're carbon steel or stainless, whatever.
Same.
Like all these little honey knives I've been selling. These things
Yep.
are all covered in Pelican paste. And
Love it.
why? Because it looks good. I don't know why. I finished off the handles, and you'll spray them off with some water, some Windex, some acetone, however you clean all the dust out of there, and it looks great when it's wet, and then it dries, and you're like, oh, it just looks like G10, it's like
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I'm like, no, that's not good enough. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stick some Pelican paste on this, and
That's
then
right.
I accidentally got a little bit on the blade, and it's got a sandblasted finish, so it's like just gray. Well, when you sandblast a finish, it's really tough to like keep it looking even. Like if it gets wet, like that wetness, like kind of like it'll like water stain it, right?
Sure.
So then like you have it's not supposed to look like a stonewash finish. It's supposed to be even all the way across.
Yep.
So I just Pelican paste them, and it makes the stonewash, or not the stonewash. It's not stonewash. I got to stop saying that. It makes
Sandblast.
the sandblasted finish look even better. And it's it's not necessary at all. It's stainless. It's fine. But I just put the wax on there because it looks better, and even. I mean, it just makes the G10 look better. Like it makes everything look even and shiny, and it just doesn't feel right to finish a blade and not put pelican paste on it. So I do.
I agree. I agree. So if you're in the business, in the interest, you have the need, make sure you go check out our boy Travis Haynes at Pelican Paste for he's got hard wax, soft wax, Pelican oil, hand solve, and the newer gritty soap, which I do have and love and use regularly. And it's holding up pretty good too. So I gotta get dirtier, I guess, so I can get some more. But while you're at it, go ahead and use the discount code T10 for 10% off your next purchase. And yeah, Pelican Paste for the win. I love
Absolutely. I love that hand salve that he sells. That stuff is amazing, you know, because I'm a mechanic, I'm a knife maker, my hands are jacked up, my arms are jacked up. I've been using the crap out of that. I'm probably gonna have to buy some more soon, just because in the wintertime it's the worst. My hands get dry and cracked from constantly washing grease and crap off of them.
it. Yeah,
And that stuff just works phenomenally. I love it. I will say though, I still haven't heard from Travis. I called him out on my show because I want the shop hands. That's what the product is called. It's this hand salve. It's called shop hands. It needs to have the Florida orange in it, the same way that the same way that pelican paste gets. Because the pelican paste, I'll put it on something and I'll have that smell. It'll get on my hands, and I like it because it's oranges. And it smells good. He's got to do that with the shop hands. It's got to have
yeah,
that Florida in there. We said that on my podcast. Ryan agreed. Our guest agreed. It's basically unanimous at this point. So, Travis, if you're listening, I still haven't heard anything, but I would love to buy some shop hands that smelled like Florida oranges. So
I agree.
that's all I'm going
I
to
know
say on
that
that.
the hand soap was unscented as well, but I did talk to him about that, and he was like, "Yeah, I simply forgot to put the orange scent in." I was like, "I love that." You know, I love the fact that
Yeah.
I say this all the time. All of our sponsors, we fully support everything that they do, what they're doing, who they are. They're minus our upcoming sponsor, Koi. They're all just side hustling, doing their thing, making great products that help our community out. So and the hand solve is and when we do the best we can, sometimes we you get unscented and sometimes you don't. So and Travis was pretty cool, which is I don't know if it's ironic, but I think it was weird. I bought some of the actual the hand solve that you were talking about and left it out, and my wife and daughter started using it.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and pretty soon it was gone. And, and I was like, mothers. So last time I made an order, and I got re-upped on that, and he actually sent a little a small tin for Mrs. Echo Blades. That was
Oh, that's nice.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's a
and then
sweet. He's an awesome dude. We like him.
yeah. And then she took the big can and left me the little one. So not
Highway and
sure
a
that was
bike
supposed
path,
to go
man.
that.
Highway and a bike path. That's the way it works.
That's right.
Well, cool, man. I just kind of wanted to throw out something that I thought was pretty cool that happened to me this week or last
Cool.
week, whenever it
Yeah.
happened. I got a Traeger. Okay. And that in and
Okay.
of itself isn't like that big of a deal. People buy Traegers all the time. I wasn't sure that I wanted a Traeger because, like, when I started smoking meats, I wanted to be like really not like purist about it, but like I wanted the most smoke flavor, right? So I'm talking, I've had the electric style that just burn a plate of chips. I've had propane. I've never gone for like the coal ones, which is, it's a little more of a commitment. Like you really got to know what you're doing when you're using coal fire to smoke meats and stuff like that. But the opportunity arose for me to get this Traeger. And the reason that it arose is because I have what some people might call a problem, but I prefer to refer to my problems as opportunities. And so I had a Zen opportunity where I have gone through so much Zen and collected all the rewards points. So I got a Traeger 100% free, if you think about it like that, because I turned in all of my Zen rewards and picked myself up a Traeger that just got shipped to my house completely free of charge, all scot free. And if any of the listeners are fans of Zinn, they know that you pretty much have to save those things up for quite a long time, and you probably have to use maybe more Zinn than you probably should in order to get to the point where you can get a Traeger. But I'm not ashamed of that at all, so I just want to put that out there front and center. Pretty happy about the fact I got a Traeger, and it works pretty good. So
I love the fact that in 2024, Zinn gets you a Traeger, and essentially you're now the Marlboro man of the 70s and
right,
80s now. You
right.
just don't have that disgusting duffel bag and a weird parka leather jacket, but that's fucking awesome, dude. And there's no judgment here. You're talking to a guy that travels the country collecting flavored tobacco because I can't buy it in my state. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty bummer, but that's really cool.
I'm pretty freaking psyched. So yeah, I got a freaking Traeger. I haven't actually got the chance to smoke something on there, like actually smoke it. Like I cooked some burgers on there. One thing that all like the Traeger bros talk about is like, oh man, you can cook, you can even cook a frozen pizza on there and it makes it taste good. So I tried it. It's not really true. It
Okay.
still tastes like a frozen pizza. I was a little disappointed because everybody's like, "Oh, you cook a frozen pizza on there. It's like the best pizza you've ever had in your life." No, it's actually just still a frozen pizza.
It's still Red Baron and DiGiorno's.
Yeah, it's still DiGiorno and it's fine. Like it works. Like it still eats, but like it's nothing that you're gonna like brag to your homies about. So all of you guys that have been
Right.
bragging to me about that over the years can shove it. Um,
That's funny as hell.
but that's okay. I got some salmon in the freezer. I'm gonna smoke. I got all kinds of stuff that I'm gonna like do an actual, smoked meat on there and see how it works out. But it's pretty easy to use. I mean, that's the thing, I'll smoke something and I have to set aside a Saturday, because there's so many factors that you have to be careful of the wind. You have to monitor the temperature. Like when I would smoke, like a pork shoulder, I would just set aside the entire day and I would just be like sitting in my yard drinking a beer and just like hanging out. And that was kind of fun, because it was, the aspect of like hanging out while the meat is smoking, all that stuff. But like here, I just, it's pretty easy. You plug it in, you set your temperature and that's it, So maybe I'm getting older and I just want easier things. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just busier and I don't have time to set aside an entire day just to smoke some meat. Maybe that's what it is. But
Hey, there's nothing wrong with smoked meat.
not at all. But that's the thing is like, is it as good as actual, like wood that's been smoked? Probably not. It's been compressed into pellets, but you know what? I just don't care anymore because you know what? I just clicked a button on a website and it got shipped to my house. So I'm happy about it.
I love that. That is great. The freaking Marvel's in, man. That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
But yeah,
Oh
now
shit.
what I need to get on now is I need to get on making the Zimbabwe edition of my Stilico because that went pretty viral on TikTok and there's a high demand for Zin handled knives. And I have not had any time whatsoever to dedicate to that. So I'm going to have to get on that. I've been saving my cans. I'm going to be peeling the stickers off the front of them and making them into knife handle scales here soon. And that's going to be what it is. I don't know. I have no idea how that's going to go, but I got to get going on it. I just haven't had time. Sucks.
I loved it. I think that was an awesome idea.
Thank you.
Thinking outside the box.
Outside the box. Nothing
That's
brown,
right.
nothing red. I'm looking at the whole rainbow, man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I'll send you all my Black Buffalo things then. You can start that too as well.
I did have some requests for like Copenhagen and Grizz and stuff like that. The guys wanted
Yeah.
their brand and made into a knife handle, and I'm like, I mean, it's a possibility. I just gotta source those things because I'm not going back to chewing tobacco. I got away from it, and I'm staying. I'm sticking with the
Good for
Zins.
you. Good for you. I'm still
Yeah.
stuck in the vicious cycle there. Dude, I was watching I was not watching, but I was cruising through Facebook the other day, and the big ass group Bladesmith for beginners.
Okay.
And I guess I'm just a stalker in that group because I'll check it out every now and again, but I don't really participate. And I do find it comforting though, because when it started wasn't too long ago now, but I never understood, like, what kind of grinder should I get? Like, how many times you're going to hear that
Yeah.
as you stay in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how people that I know interact with guys asking that question, if they're
Sure.
supportive, they're, because we're all assholes, but one of the thing about the community is, like, you got to kind of get initiated before you get the asshole treatment, right? So just don't go bombing on people that are just starting. But I laughed so fucking hard because somebody, Denis responded to something. I have no idea what the context was or what they were talking about, but I actually do now. It was about surface grinding attachments.
Okay.
And the dude responded to Denis, and he was like, "Oh man, right on. You're a real one."
Okay.
And I was like, "My buddy doesn't know what that means." And as sure as shit as I'm fucking looking at it, I see the comment pop up. "I'm not sure what that means, but thank you." And I was like, "Oh, you Canadian old bastard." It was just the best. I loved it. And I love the fact that he just openly was like, didn't even get it. So, thank you, Denis, for providing me endless entertainment with your naivety.
Geriatric retiree can't
Yeah.
communicate with the youths.
Yeah, you're a real one. Oh, yes, I'm real. Absolutely.
Well, I am not a bot, so that makes sense.
Exactly. It was so cool.
Oh, good stuff, man.
All right.
Well, hey, we got to do Maker Spotlight, don't we?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Why don't you go first, bud?
Okay. So
This is your show.
Yeah, sure. It's our show today, man. This is an emergency broadcast system. Ryan is introducing. I mean, Ryan.
What?
God damn it. Jared's an idiot. All right. Okay. There you go. All right. Saved. All right. So I have Row Forge Studio. And I hope I don't mess up pronouncing his name. Salome Rowe. He's got 1,579 followers. He hand forged knives from known steels and uses handle material from trusted sources. He's ABS apprentice and an SC Custom Knife Makers Guild member. And he's a vet. Thank you, sir, for your service. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Yep. And
Whoa.
yeah. So I just clicked on this. One of his knives just popped up in my feed, and it is a, I don't know, help me, an upside down
That is a
full tang.
a
Yeah.
horizontal full tang integral.
Yes.
So
Hallelujah.
so hopefully the listeners know what I'm saying when I say that. So typically on a full tang integral, the tang is vertical, right? So you put your handle scales on the sides. Well, he made the tang horizontal so that the scales are top and bottom and pinned them.
I pinned them. Yeah.
And then polished the shit out of it. And it looks
Yep.
amazing.
Everything's got, is that a lanyard too?
It's got a lanyard tube, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that thing is sweet.
That guy's not seeing brown or red. He's seeing all the colors, man.
I love it. Yeah. Speaking right to our ability to innovate.
Yep.
And I've been following him for a while now. He does really good stuff and consistently awesome maker here. So if you're not already following him, go ahead and give him a follow and tell him that the boys at Triple T sent you.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, he's got some really cool stuff on here.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of him, so this is the first time I'm looking at his stuff. Just followed him. He's got he's got some he's got this cool little EDC made out of Apex Ultra. I mean, he's got some sort of a Japanese style sword with hibaki and everything. I mean, cool stuff.
Yeah.
Got some solid integral work.
Well-rounded.
Yeah.
Not too much of the same, but
definitely
I like
a solid follow.
Yep. Good deal. Who do you got, bud?
I have Dustin North, and that is going to be North Edge Tools, all one word, on Instagram. He currently has 1,719 followers. Quality handcrafted tools. United States Air Force veteran. It's funny, we both picked vets here. Books closed, Denver, Colorado. And the reason that I picked Dustin is because I've been working on my batch work. We've talked about this ad nauseum. I'm really starting to love bolt-on scales, that sort of stuff. And he is doing what looks like a 1,500 follower giveaway. Maybe this is an old post, or maybe it says it's 1 week ago. He must have gotten a bunch of new followers. I saw this knife like a week or two ago, and it's this cool EDC. It's got an exposed tang like on the butt cap with a lanyard hole. It's bolt on, but it's got these what's the word I'm looking for? I can't really think of it. Scales. The scales that have like segmented scales. Good lord,
Okay.
that was brutal. Super cool set of these segmented scales, but he's done like these forward scallops on it, so you see like a little bit of the liner underneath. He's got it sculpted back where the butt tang gets exposed. I mean, the work here is just, it's clean, and it's just freaking like, I don't know, there's something about it. It looks so freaking clean. All the angles are just right. He's got a lot of other really great work. He's got some
You're talking about the green and brown orange segmented?
yeah, it's got some grip tech on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah. Grip tech on the back. Yeah.
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 He's got
That's clean.
cool other stuff. I met him at Blade this year. Was the first time I'd met him. Super cool guy. He's does like a lot of these. It looks like he just does runs of these different models of knives that he does, and he seems like he just cranks them out. And I love it. I love his style. Really, really clean work, and I like his maker's mark, which it's super simple. Like, I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You're just going to have to go look at his maker's mark. I
Makes
think
me
it's
want to go
cool.
bowling. That's really cool.
It's really cool. Anyways, just loved his work. It was really cool to meet him at Blade. Super nice guy. And you guys should all give him a follow. And mine and Jerid's suggestions will be in the show notes, so you can just click those and go follow these guys, because they need some love.
Yeah, I am noticing too that he uses the Wicked Edge and he doesn't have a Band-Aid on his fingers. So good for him. I'm scarred.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
I am so scarred. I am so scarred.
Good Lord, Jerid, we've been at this an hour and 42 minutes.
Jeez, that goes by really quick here. Wow. Okay. Well, if you're still here, good for you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. I just looked up because I was like, all right, well, real quick. All right, guys, we got to get out of here, but we can't get out of here before we tell you about Coy and the boys at Baker Forge and Tool. They make some of the coolest Damascus on the market. They're always doing new and innovative things, just like we're talking about. Coy doesn't see black. He doesn't see red, brown, red. Anyways, I'm screwing up. Always going outside the box. Last week we talked about their drop with this new diamond pattern they're doing. They're always coming up with new and cool stuff. They just got a giant power hammer installed in their shop so they can make more of this stuff because the demand is so high. Go check out Baker Forge and Tool. Download the app so you have early access to all of their drops, because you get a day early access on that app. And it's a super cool, intuitive thing. Don't forget to pick up some gator piss, because it is the best etchant on the market. Even if you're not looking for steel, you still want to get that gator piss because it is awesome. I use it on every blade that gets an etch in my shop. And you can use the code TT10 at checkout. And I've been a listener of this show for a while now, right? I love listening to Denis and Jerid. I have never had a clue, if I was going to type in one of these discount codes, whether I would be writing the word triple, then the letter T, and then the number 10. So because I'm on the show, I can go ahead and fix this for you guys. It is TTT10, and that is the discount code that you use when you go to check out at Baker Forge and Tool.
Yeah, and for the people that have listened to more than one episode,
don't you call me out. Don't you tell me you guys have actually said this on the show. Have you really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's titties plus 1 T. It's beautiful, but it's always good to clarify because yes, Denis likes to use triple hyphen T sometimes, but yes, it is the TTT 10 for 10% off.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right. So thank you. And you can go check it out. Tuesday morning, I think Noah and Ryan find themselves in the same position where the drops come out on Saturday. But if there is any left, you can check out the new Gomai Kushim Diamond is live. That is the new Diamond. Really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Koi is awesome. And dude, I just want to commend you. That was a fantastic ad read. You guys, I love that. You did fantastic. That is really, really good.
Well, it makes it easier because, we've promoted Baker Forge and Tool all the time, but, I've met those guys. I've talked to those guys. When you, it's like you were saying about your sponsors. They're all people you know and trust, and you want to see them succeed. And that's why that's why you're promoting them. And I completely agree. That's the same way that we do it on our show. And so it makes it easier to promote people that you know and love and really stand behind their product and know that it's something that you want to support. So,
yes, this is good stuff. Good stuff, good people, good products, and go use triple T 10. Thank you, Noah.
Absolutely.
All right, so before we get out of here, we're gonna. If you have any listener questions, go please send them to either Denis or the Triple T Instagram account. Let us know what you're thinking, thoughts, feedback. Always, we're gonna skip past this one. It's for time's sake here. Like Noah just mentioned that we are cruising through here.
And let's be honest, when somebody asks a question of the Triple T podcast, they want yours and Denis's response. So, I mean, they didn't sign up for me to be here.
I actually get a lot of don't let Denis answer this one.
Oh, okay.
We know. We'll just check on his stuff. We want to hear from. No, I'm kidding. No, yes. He is as much as balls as we bust. He is a fantastic maker that contributes to this community in a manner that not many people do. And we appreciate you, Denis.
Wow, you just said that on the air.
My bad. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to get out of here real quick. Before I do go, I do want to send a special shout out to all of our listeners, especially those that have reached out to me over the past couple weeks. I did share in a few episodes back that some things happened in my life, and you guys are awesome. And I really, really appreciate all the kind words, the texts, the phone calls, the messages of your support, and letting me know that you guys are in my corner. If I didn't get back to you, it was completely not on purpose. And I did receive them, and some of them came right at some really good times. So I appreciate you guys, and again, thank you from my family. And myself, we're truly grateful for all your support and your kind words. So I needed to do that because it has been some time due to the traveling and everything, and then with the crossover. So I do appreciate you guys. And Noah, where can we find you if they don't already know you? And what podcast are you on?
People can find me wherever they want. So if you want to listen to me jabber more on podcasts, you can go to the Hustle and Grind podcast, which you should do anyways, because that's where Denis is today.
Sure.
Hustle and Grind podcast. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram, Entiat River Forge with underscores in between the words. You can find me on TikTok, Entiat River Forge, just one word. Facebook, Entiat River Forge. I found out the other day you can just Google Entiat River Forge and you can find my website, entiatriverforge.square.site. And I have a couple pieces up available there. And all the other things that we talk about, the customer care info, how to take care of your knife, custom order info if somebody wants to order a knife from me or anything like that. It's all on my website, and you guys can shoot me a message on my website, or you can just find me on Instagram and shoot me a DM. However, a lot of those just go to message requests, so sometimes I don't see them immediately. So if you want to contact me through the website, it's always the best. And really appreciate you having me on today, Jerid. This has been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And this will conclude the crossover edition. I really appreciate you guys reaching out and collabing with us and making this happen. I had a lot of fun last week, and I had a little bit more fun today. So I appreciate you. I think just any day without Denis is a beautiful day. So,
There it is. There it
All
is.
right. Anything else, my friend?
No, we're all good, man. Let's let the listeners get out of here.
All right, brother. And that's a wrap.